Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another stale movie review. Today we're going to be talking about The Unholy. And this movie comes to me via Creepy Royalty suggestion from Kevin. So thank you so much for your suggestion. I say suggestion, as I've said many times before, one of the perks to the highest tier of my Patreon is to decide one of my videos for each month. So this was Kevin's choice, not a suggestion. It's do this, Vicky, review this movie. Right, so I want to say thank you to Kevin and all my other creepy patron peeps for your support of my channel. If you want to find out the other perks to being a creepy patron peep, you can follow that link in the description. All right, so quick summary of The Unholy. In New Orleans, a series of horrific murders of priests are occurring around the city's Catholic churches. The diocese calls in Father Michael to fight the powerful demon known as Desiderius. I think that's how they said it in the movie, or the Unholy. The father's faith is tested almost to the breaking point as the demon, disguised as a stunningly beautiful lady, attempts to seduce Father Michael into breaking his vows. Father Michael soon learns how the unholy works by murdering the sinner in the act of sinning, then sending that person's soul to hell. Will this one priest's inner strength be enough to stop this monster, or will he join the ranks of the other ill-fated priests? Right, so The Unholy was originally written by Philip Jordan, I hope I said that name right, back in the 70s, even though this movie did come out in 1988. It was written after the success of films like The Exorcist and The Omen, but obviously wasn't picked up till much later when the director Camilo Villa, I hope that's how he says it, no idea, found the script, read it, and really liked it. And funnily enough, the director actually proclaimed this was not a horror movie, although it deals with like demons and murders and things like that. I severely disagree. I know this is the director's movie, but I disagree. Anyways, let's get into what I liked about The Unholy. It was a surprisingly dark movie. I feel like most of the 80s horror movies I watch are obviously slashers because that was the big thing during that decade. But I feel like there's always a very fine layer of cheesiness over 80s movies, or at least the ones that I always watch. So it's always so surprising and shocking to me to see something that's so dark. And this movie definitely has its dark moments. I think really the only thing cheesy about it is like the outfits and the way they're talking, you know, because it's in the 80s. But it's actually really, really dark. The one scene that kind of like got me a little bit was one of the characters, Millie, who is seeking Father Michael's help in the movie, is locked away for attacking. She like works in this, without giving too much away, she like works in this club that's kind of based around like satanic rituals and things like that. She attacks the owner of the club. I think he's the owner. His name is Luke. And she's locked up in this padded cell and she's asking for Father Michael. So obviously he goes in there and is talking to her, and she's talking about like all the men in her life that have tried to like sexually abuse her. And she's like clearly very seriously mentally disturbed by this and like by everything that's going on. And she's just like freaking out, and it's super dark and scary, and I was not expecting that of this movie, but I really enjoyed it. It was something different from all the movies of the 80s that I've seen. Obviously from that description you can probably glean that this is a classic good versus evil movie, especially when it has to do with religious stuff, like evil being the devil, Satan, and good being the church, anything having to do with anything holy. But I did like how this movie did that a little bit differently though. So usually in these kind of like exorcism, demon possession movies, it's always like a regular person. Like, you know, if we think about like The Exorcist, it's Reagan, a little girl that's kind of in the middle of this battle between good and evil, and it's always the priest or the holy man that comes in and saves the day. But I like how The Unholy kind of played with that a little bit and made the priest the target. So it's not like Father Michael is simply just helping somebody that is trying, like, that a demon is trying to kill. The demon is after him. So it's like he has to deal with that internal struggle within himself and not give in to temptation while also fighting this battle for his own soul. And I really liked that about this movie. It was definitely different from other kind of like religious Satan horror movies that I've seen. And I know I was talking about how this movie doesn't have any cheesiness to it, but the final battle scene, it's like, it is really super cheesy, but it's kind of awesome in its cheesiness. Very dramatic, very cheesy, especially when Father Michael finally, like, I guess, like, gets the power to fight off the demon. It's so funny, like, his, like, motion that he's doing or something. It's like, it's something like this.
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait, let's get into what I didn't like about the Unholy. I know I was talking about the character of Luke. I know I didn't really do a good job of describing his character in the movie and the whole like club thing going on. If you watch the movie or you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like his storyline though didn't serve much of a purpose. Scenes and stuff kind of could have been cut out or just modified without him in it, and it still would have had, like, the movie would have been on the same track. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they had just cut his parts and like maybe like they would have maybe just had to rewrite like 1 or 2 scenes and the movie still would have worked in the same way, if that makes any sense. He mostly has a lot to do with Millie, so Millie is kind of like a runaway, I guess you could say. And Luke helps her out, but he is a very not good character to be around, and he's very detrimental to Millie's well-being, without giving much away. That's why Millie seeks the help of Father Michael. Although I feel like it's kind of like an afterthought, like towards the end of the movie when Millie comes to stay with the father to get away from Luke, and I kind of wish she would have come to stay with Father Michael sooner, and I feel like it would have developed more of the fact that Millie is a temptation for Father Michael, and she plays a big part in the demon trying to tempt him to sin, because she's a very beautiful young girl and he's not an old priest, he's quite young. And there's definitely a very weird scene where Millie is just like, it's like a bad porn. She's just like, make love to me, Father, and I'm like, oh my god, like, this is a bad porn. But that seems like that whole storyline with Millie like kind of tempting Father I feel like it's kind of like rushed in the 3rd act of the movie or leading up to the end of the movie, and I just wish if they had just like cut out the whole Luke thing and Millie had come to seek Father's help sooner and live with him sooner, they could have developed that a bit more and it would have been better, if that makes any sense. I make no sense when I'm trying to talk about the movie without giving anything away. And I also feel like the story, the identity, the MO of the demon is revealed in a huge rush at the end of the movie. So we have the, sorry, I haven't been to church in a while, so it's like the Archbishop, I think, and this other priest who is very old and very blind. Clearly know about the demon, and they know what the demon is trying to do, and I feel like they don't tell Father Michael until like the end of the movie, like, hey, there's this demon, and the whole thing, like, her whole sitch is that she tempts priests into sinning and then kills them on Easter. That's her whole deal. And I'm kind of just like, you couldn't have like told him sooner, like for one, that's kind of like a nitpicky thing, but I kind of wish it was revealed slowly over the course of the movie, like, you know, Father Michael kind of discovering little bits about the demon as the story goes on, and, you know, finally leading up into the end when he finally understands, instead of all this stuff happening and Father Michael not really getting anywhere, and then at the end of the movie they're like, hey, this is what the demon's doing, and he's like, I don't believe you guys, blah blah blah, and then the demon attacks, and then yeah, that's pretty much the end that I just described. So was The Unholy worth it? I say sure. It's definitely different tonally from all the other horror movies of the 80s that I've seen, so I would recommend it if you're looking for something a little bit different in terms of an 80s movie. I give it a 3 out of 5. It wasn't a perfect movie, but it wasn't awful either. It was quite good. On IMDb, it has a 4.9 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, there's no critic score, but audiences give it a 43% overall. Nothing on Roger Ebert. I was able to watch this movie on Amazon, so I'll leave an affiliate link in the description. Like I say all the time, there's no pressure to use that link, but if you do, it does help out the channel a little bit. So if you've seen The Unholy, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. Of course, course, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye.